This is the guy that shot 50 Cent. But we'll get back to him. We're going to get into the story of why 50 Cent hates Irv Gotti so much, and should he?
What does it feel like to be shot? Is it a physical feeling?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt as much as people imagine it hurts because of your adrenaline and how...
Wow, oh my goodness, there's a hole there.
Yeah, it kind of changed my voice too, and this is the voice that sells 8 million records, so I think everything happens for a reason.
The guy paid him, got life in jail.
Got life in jail.
Yeah.
Well, don't give me no pass, man. I don't deserve passes. I'm a fucked up nigga. You should do something to me. You understand what I'm saying? Because niggas send mixed messages. You know?
The never-ending drama between 50 Cent, Ja Rule, Murder Inc. is flared up again. And why? Well, is it because 50 Cent is disrespectful? He said, I got your mans in my runts right now. Or is it because they tried to have 50 Cent murked, and he should never, ever give up on putting his foot on their neck? I think it's the latter. The circumstantial evidence pretty overwhelmingly, conclusively points to Ja Rule, Irv Gotti, presumably the brother, being fairly complicit in trying to definitely sabotage 50's career and perhaps bump him off. Now let's get into it, because this is the best rap beef ever. It has all the perfect elements. It'll never be surpassed. First of all, 50 Cent is one of the, as far as making an impact of biggest rappers, he may not be your favorite or whatever. He's borderline top 5. He's one of only, Eminem has 3 diamond records. And then there's a few, Outkast has 1 diamond, Lauryn Hill has a diamond, Biggie has a diamond, Tupac has 2 diamonds. 50 Cent almost has 2 diamonds. Get Rich or Die Trying is 12 million, and The Massacre is 8 million. So he has almost 2 diamond records. So much happened between 50 and Ja. Let's think about what the timeline of it is. Ja Rule had 3 songs reach Billboard #1. 50 Cent had 4. Ja had 8 songs get into the top 10. 50 Cent had 13. Ja Rule had 17 to hit the Billboard Hot 100. 50 had 41. So 50 Cent, mega. But the fact that you can even compare Ja Rule to him somewhat shows Ja Rule was popping. So you had 2 really big rappers at each other's neck, like Kendrick and Lamar, but at a much, obviously, more serious level. Now, 50 Cent has used this beef first against Supreme and then against Ja Rule, but especially Irv Gotti, is a never-ending source of free publicity. Why shouldn't he? They tried to kill him. And just the other day, he put, I got your man in my runts pack. When Irv Gotti died, he smoking on that Gotti pack. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't blame him. And for those of you to say he should move on or grow up, if 50 Cent had cooperated with law enforcement, like Bill Courtney, this New York cop that's been getting interviewed on Vlad and everywhere, who was assigned to the McGriff case, who questioned 50 Cent multiple times trying to get information from him. If 50 had cooperated with Bill Courtney and testified as to who shot him, those guys would still be in jail now, or they would have got out not too long ago. So nobody asked the criminal justice system or tells the criminal justice system to grow up and move beyond people. People get life sentences, 30-year sentences, 40-year sentences. Going to kill somebody, murder for hire, is very, very serious. Remember that 3 guys sat outside 50 Cent's grandmother's house and shot him 9 times.
What does it feel like to be shot? Is it a physical feeling?
Where were you shot? Which part of the body? Where did the bullet?
I got shot in my hand. My thumb came on my hand, my face, not the 2.
Wow, oh my goodness, there's a hole there.
Yeah, it kind of changed my voice too, and this is the voice that sells 8 million records, so I think everything happens for a reason.
They thought they killed him. Supreme texted out, we got him. They met They basically had a party, they popped champagne. How do we know all this? Well, came out in court testimony. When Supreme went on trial in 05 to 07, one of the hitmen he used to kill E-Money Bags, the other Queens rapper that he got into it with, John Reagan, he testified that he was there when it happened. McGriff was also convicted of killing 2 guys down in Baltimore. A lot of what we think of as central to the rap culture now, maybe not a lot of, but certain things, 50 Cent kind of pioneered, he made up. The whole thing of taking somebody's chain and then wearing it in a video. Go watch The Life's on Your Line. Murder, murder, I don't believe you. That chain he was wearing had just been taken from Ja Rule.
Murder, murder, your life's on the line.
That was early on.
He was
That
shitting
like
on us from the
99.
conception of his career. He was coming at us. So anybody who called me, they would call me when he would leave the office and say, yo, 50's over with interest in something. I said, you fuck with him, you ain't fucking with me.
According to Bill Courtney and according to maybe some of the CIs in the case, Supreme may have been at the shooting of 50 Cent. He may have been right there and watched it happen. So no wonder 50 has so much animosity. And then on his first real album, Get Rich or Die Trying, he had a song where he references, your chain was exchanged for my watch. Supreme got the chain back, but he gave 50 Cent a watch in return because he couldn't press 50 Cent. He had to make deals with him. And 50 and Supreme had a respect for each other for a while, but it just dragged on, all this beef. And then finally it became Supreme versus 50. Now, I have read that someone took a shot at Supreme at a gas station, and supposedly he thought it might have been 50 Cent, and that's what predicated him actually putting a hit out on. In 1999, How to Rob came out, which put 50 Cent on the map. But 1999, Ja Rule already was putting out his first full album, Veni Vidi Vici, which had some of those hit songs on it. I think Holla Holla was on it. So Ja Rule, How to Rob was a big deal, but Ja Rule had multiple hit singles and a like a triple. Well, Veni Vidi Vici went 1 times platinum, and then his next albums went like double and then triple. Like he was growing. So Ja was getting bigger and bigger. 50 had How to Rob out.
You know, people look at it and go, well, he wasn't supposed to say that about me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to take hip hop to being back to when we were a little more competitive.
In retrospect, it was a brilliant song. At the time, I think that even caused him some problems. 50 came in very aggressively. So the way that Supreme and Irv met is interesting. They were, I think Irv was shooting a video for, maybe not Ja Rule, for Mike Geronimo, his artist before Ja Rule. Supreme, home from prison. Oh, they're shooting a video in the neighborhood, and he just comes and meets Irv. Of course, he was a legend already, Supreme was, so Irv was excited to meet him. Well, this is one of the things 50 Cent always held against Irv and his brother as being sort of like Supreme groupies. So 50 Cent puts out How to Rob in 99, Veni Vidi Vici, Ja Rule's first album is out in 99. So 50 Cent's known, but Ja Rule is a big deal. But these two guys start getting into it. 50 Cent is signed to Columbia Records. He's working on an album. 50 Cent and Ja Rule, they're from this same neighborhood. Everything was cool at first. Supreme has met Irv Gotti and the Lorenzo brothers. That's their real name. They call themselves Gotti, enamored of gangster stuff. Ja Rule is ahead of 50 Cent in 1999. They're moving in the same circles. 50 Cent says he's trying to be friendly to Ja Rule. 50 Cent tracks the whole beef beginning back to some guy in the neighborhood who 50 Cent knew robs Ja Rule for his chain. This is a different chain from the one at the studio. He robs Ja Rule for his chain and blames 50 Cent. Ja Rule claims that's not the reason, whatever. But whatever happens, the beef amps up. They have a fight at a studio. Chaz Williams, rest in peace, Chaz Williams. Chaz Williams was an older guy. He was even older than Supreme. He had been a big bank robber in the 70s. He started Black Hand Entertainment. He was doing big concert promotion. So you got to realize these people in the music industry there in New York, they're just like everywhere. You know, Chaz had been a big gangster. Jimmy Roseman, Jimmy Henchman of Czar Entertainment, big time criminal. I mean, these were people a pay grade above even like Supreme. So there were serious people in the mix. In the song Many Men, you may remember the line, Slim switch sides on me, let him ride on me. I thought we was cool, why you want me to die, homie. Well, that's a reference to Chaz Slim Williams, because after Ja Rule and 50 had a few brawls at different studios, whether it was about the chain or perhaps knowing 50's personality now, maybe 50 was just starting stuff with him because he thought he was soft and knew it would get him attention because he had already been smart enough to put out How to Rob, right? And he had access to Ja Rule because they're in the same circle, because they're, you know, the same overlapping circles because they're from the same neighborhood, same age group. Either way, a decision was clearly made. Some meetings were had with Chaz, Supreme, Irv Gotti, and his brother that, hey, Ja Rule has already got a platinum album and multiple platinum singles. He's gone, right? We're in the industry. It's happening. Murder Inc. is revitalizing Def Jam. Ja Rule was a big deal. If you don't remember that Holla Holla song, Holla Holla, get dollars, is murder, is iconic as In the Club. In the Club probably ended up being bigger over the years, but Holla Holla was like a big deal. Ja Rule was popping. If you just think of him as the loser in the 50 Cent beef, that's true, I guess, but he still was a big deal. He still performs plenty and gets money. Ja Rule was a big artist. So a decision is made by these gangsters, Supreme, Chaz, we riding with Ja Rule, probably just because he already ahead of 50. Logical decision. You can't say that you blame him, but did this mark 50 for death, which is kind of wild. It's still, nobody can exactly figure out what caused Supreme to take it to the next level. I mean, when you're dealing with guys that have ordered murders before, that are serious people, that use violence as a tool, eventually, whatever problem they have, they're going to start using violence. And to show you what type of guy Supreme is alleged to have been, and I don't know that this is true, but we're just repeating what we know from the public record. One of the people that testified against him, Dalu, who had been a Supreme team member that stuck with him through multiple prison bids and was with him when he got indicted in 2005, he testified against him. He said all during like the 90s, he was on a standing order if a girl got pregnant by Supreme to force her to get an abortion. And at one point there was a woman in 1994. I don't think this is the mother of the young McGriff Kyle that we see on the internet. Shout out to Kyle. I don't think that's his mother, but some woman was pregnant and I guess had the baby. And according to Dalu's testimony, McGriff wanted him to take her out so that she wouldn't have the baby, which I guess he refused to do. If he would do something like that, you can see him eventually wanting to take out 50, especially after 50 showed up to a video shoot for Ja Rule that Supreme was at, and here's some footage of Supreme in the car looking tough. 50 supposedly came up there on his motorcycle with a gun looking for Ja, and Supreme told him, oh, I told you not to worry about these guys, they ain't gonna do nothing. But that's, if Supreme is up there as like, oh, he's the gangster down with Murder Inc., so no, everybody knows better to go up there. For someone to even go up there with a gun, I could see him thinking about it after the fact. Because when you're using fear and intimidation as a management technique or as your calling card, like that's your thing, it's gotta be all the way. See, love or liking somebody can go up and down a little bit, and I love you a little less, but I still love you. But fear, either I think you're going to kill me, either I'm afraid of you or I'm not. And if you let certain things happen and the fear goes away, then it's gone. You got to you want to be intimidating. Somebody's going to have to get shot sometimes. Somebody's got to die once in a while, or the intimidation is going to go away. So 50 got marked for death. Right in this shooting is where we can really see why 50 Cent will never give up the ghost of hatred towards them. Now, even I have said in some of my other Supreme Team things that it was Daryl Hamo Baum who shot him, and 50 said in a song, Hamo shot, again, many men, Hamo shot me. 3 weeks later, he got shot down. Now it's clear that I'm here for a real reason, because he got hit like I got hit. But he ain't fucking breathing. Many men. But Bill Courtney had a good explanation of why it wasn't, 50 thought it was Hamo, but it wasn't.
No. So this kid's Son. His street name was Son.
Oh,
he was from the Pink Houses. He had no street rep, nothing, and then all of a sudden he's a shooter. Right after the shooting, he becomes Ja Rule's bodyguard. So I guess that was his bump. You know, after he shot him, he started bodyguarding Ja Rule and went with him.
So now we get back to the killing. So Black Just gets killed in the car with Supreme by E-Money Bags. And not too long after that, Nathan May Green-Eyed Born, who had been a lieutenant, he's in this famous picture. He's the guy in the white suit there in the front next to Preem. Him and Preem are rivals. Green-Eyed Born got convicted of one of the more serious crimes back in the Supreme Team's initial era. There was a homicide that I think a teenage girl got killed. He got a bunch of time. I think that may have partially got reversed on appeal. I'm not sure. But him and Supreme are on the outs. Irv Gotti got slapped up by several of the guys the Supreme put successful hits out on. E-Money Bags, Troy Singleton, Green-Eyed Born, Nathan May. So Irv Gotti was, whether he knew it or not, he was the cause of some killing, and I'm sure he had to at least know about it. Doesn't mean he was part of a conspiracy, but 50 Cent went up against a serious killing crew. So $50,000 was paid out for the murders of Troy Singleton and E-Money Bags. Nathan Green-Eyed Born May managed to stay alive. He's around. So the shooters that were with Supreme on the day 50 Cent got shot in front of his grandmother's house was God B, who's in some of these old photos from the original Supreme Team. He was part of Kenneth McGriff's inner sanctum there from the start. And Robert's son Lion. So, and this is him. And this is part of the huge news coverage that the Supreme case got locally. You gotta really remember, like, for members of law enforcement in New York, it doesn't matter how long ago it happened, that assassination of Ed Byrne made any of those Queens guys, from Fat Cat to Supreme, they wanted them all doing all the time they could give them. And anytime, like, they were after Supreme, and then they found out he was messing around, they wanted him to go down, and he gave them all the material they needed to put him there. But 50 Cent, more than any rapper, you can hear about these guys rapping about just that and the third, but he really did go up against a guy that had a standing kind of crew of hitmen, some of whom ended up turning state's evidence. There's Manny Dog, the guy who arranged the shooters, wasn't even really a shooter. He had a guy, Thor, who also overlapped doing hits with for Damian World Hardy, who's doing 6 lives for 6 bodies. So Hardy was kind of like a Supreme Team, like a Kenneth Supreme McGriff, a charismatic guy. He was Little Kim's boyfriend for a while. That's another story. But there were teams of killers on call, and 50 Cent is one of the guys that they were on call for. So He barely got out with his life. He easily could have been dead. He did stand up to them, and that's why he's so bitter towards, Irv Gotti helped the people that tried to have him killed, and it's no surprise he feels the way he does about the Lorenzo brothers and said what he said about Irv Gotti. I'm not promoting it. I mean, I wasn't a part of it, but I can see it from his perspective. If someone tried to kill me, supported the person that tried to kill me, has recently made statements, well, right before his death, that he would have sabotaged my career, why not celebrate his death? That's a cold but hard truth. Al Prophet, American Dope.